Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a brand new episode of MuslimFin. I am your host, Ali Sali, and this evening with me is my good friend and colleague, Siraj Buzik, who will be introducing our guest.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And like to say, another week, another podcast, Ali.
Yeah, that's right.
This week we have an interesting guest with us, Fatima Daris, who is an HR business manager or partner with the majority of her career spent in financial services, mining and retail. Her latter years were spent in the public sector, and her expertise include HR consulting, industrial and labor relations, performance management, talent management and talent acquisition. One of her last job titles was Head of Business Enablement at Westgrow, and she holds a BCom Honours in Business Management and has a strong passion for operations. After more than 19 years in corporate HR, she decided to shift gears towards self-employment. While continuing her HR consulting work, she dedicated more energy to growing ELA exotic leather accessories. This transition has allowed her to apply her business management skills in a new and personally rewarding way. And over the last year in consulting, she encountered numerous women who lack access to basic knowledge and resources, often due to financial constraints. And in an effort to address this, Fatima and her friends and members of all of their business networks came together to create a Women in Business network. Their goal is to support one another, share experiences, and offer guidance when someone faces a challenge, inshallah. Fatima, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and wa alaikum salam.
Cool. Fatima, we're so excited. There's so much to get into. And I'll probably just start with one of the questions I had prepared for you. And just to start, what motivated you to shift from a long career in corporate HR to basically self-employment, and how has that transition impacted your perspective on business?
I think something in the psychology related is when you reach a certain age, with the 4, there's this thing called the midlife crisis. You look back on your life and you think, I wanted to be here, I wanted to do that, I wanted to have this bank balance. And also I had a health scare, and that also makes the person have a huge reality check and a mind shift, and you have your religious values questioned, And I realized that I was not offering the world and the society as much as what I could have if I was not employed.
Okay.
Yes, and those were the contributing factors.
Okay, so that's what then encouraged you to become an entrepreneur and go into business for yourself?
Yes.
How did you then decide to start helping other women in business?
So, long story short, August was Women's Month.
Okay.
And I got this idea. I always get these crazy ideas that are sometimes not able to realize easily, where I wanted to gift one special lady like an amazing combo of wonderful stuff where she can go for hair and nails and eats and everything. And then I wrote to everybody I knew in my networks, and especially the ladies in my networks were very forthcoming. So we put together a gift combo to the value of 15,500 rand, alhamdulillah.
Wow.
And sort of that's where I spend a lot of time with other entrepreneurs or women in business, because we had to spend coffee dates together to plan our marketing and how we're going to run this competition. And when you speak to somebody or you quickly rush to a meeting, you share like the baggage you're carrying with you to that meeting. And I realized that there were majority of us 3 businesses, and we often came with a similar challenge. Yeah, the staff didn't come to work today, or I had this challenge, I had that challenge. And we realized that we had similar challenges. And the ladies shared their challenges and the help that they got. And I realized that sometimes the people who were feeding them information were not feeding them correct information. Example, because that's my forte, staffing issues. They were getting wrong or incorrect advice on labor-related matters. And then the more we met, the more I saw we had similar challenges, and then we spoke about our friends and their challenges, or our peers. And then also we were sharing problems of the peers, and we realized that the newer generation, Gen Z or the millennials, whatever they call, for them it's a different trajectory. They don't necessarily, like traditionally you would go to school, and if there's funding, then you'll go and study and you'll get a career and a professional qualification. Now things have shifted with social media, that they go into opening their own businesses and learn as they go along, open a photography business, and then they study a photography course online. And especially the newer generation or the younger generation, they don't know the basics, or they don't have access to the knowledge that we perhaps got at tertiary institutions, like how to register a business, the fact that you need to register a business, where to register that business, the person who's going to help you, are they credible? Is it an accredited organization where you are registering with and paying maybe 5,000 Rand as opposed to 1,000 Rand with SIPSI? And instead of like bitching and moaning, forgive my French, like the three of us decided, let's just do something about it. Let's stop complaining and let's do something about this. And then that's how our brainchild was organically grown. Sorry for the long answer.
No, but that's amazing. And I think, with entrepreneurship, it's always about, trying to find or solve problems, solve people's problems. So when you're out there and you discover that, people have issues and problems, businesses normally develop from that, right? So, hey, you know what, let's start a business where we can help people, help women specifically to improve, their business acumen, and then to just help them overall. Now, with that being said, if you were to compare, being in corporate and the things that you've learned there, and you mentioned quite a few things, in terms of different generations, and what are some of the things that you picked up in corporate versus being an entrepreneur?
So I think I should be very grateful for the things I learned in corporate. When you are in a meeting, you're forced maybe to speak or to share your opinion. There's this thing they often do, is they do a round where everybody gets an opportunity to share their view on something. And I would not have been able to network as strongly as I can and had the confidence to speak to strangers if I didn't do that, or probably hadn't been exposed to that in the corporate world. And that is part of what, with our women's network, what we are trying to teach women to do, force them to network in a safe space with each other, and that will give them the confidence to maybe network outside of the forum that we have with them.
Okay, that's awesome. Fatima, I know you've got quite a long experience or history with HR. How crucial is HR strategy in enabling business growth, especially for startups and small businesses?
And HR isn't only about hiring and firing people. It's how you engage with the people, understanding that it's important to employ people who fit into your organization. There's an element of psychometric assessments, which many people don't even know what that means. And that's how I assess a good manager, is I ask them, what's your view on psychometric assessments? And you do get free psychometric assessments, which many people don't know they have access to. If you just search the internet, you do have free tools available to us. And it's important because, example, if we talk about fitting a square peg in a round hole, we only know what we can see about the person. And yes, there are interviews, people might connect well with you, but there's this thing which we call the iceberg. You can't see the bottom of the iceberg if you're traveling on a ship on the ocean. And that is what psychometric assessments help us with. So if there's anything I can recommend to business women or organizations that are wanting to grow or scale, when you decide on how you're going to grow your organization, that's something that they should invest their time and energy into, is a psychometric assessment. Sorry. Just tell me your question again. You spoke about your HR strategy.
Correct.
Yes.
Especially in startups and small businesses, how
Yes.
important is that?
Yes.
In that.
Yes. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, because I feel HR strategy is a little bit high level for smaller organizations or smaller entrepreneurs. But something that's very important that people don't even know, that you need to give your staff an employment contract. And yes, there is the basic conditions of employment which become the contract, but people need to look and see what they're agreeing to, their working hours, their job title, their rate of pay, how many days leave they're entitled to. Like students leave university or college and they think, oh, it's going to be a free ride, and they don't know you're only legally entitled to 15 days of leave per annum. That's like 1 day a month. So, and it's important that you as an employer educate your employees, because I also feel very strongly that's how we're going to make a change in the world. Like being a third world country and comparing ourselves to, example, first world countries, the only way we're going to become better without relying on the government, because people have lots of things to say about the government, is if we do something ourselves. And I feel as an employer, we have an obligation to educate our employees. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, and you make some very valid points around the employee contract, and I think in many cases smaller businesses tend to overlook certain things. And in many cases, it tends to be that employee contract and specifically the training around, what the employee's rights are.
Yes.
That's actually quite important. When it comes to entrepreneurship, and maybe let's take one step back. So someone who wants to go into business for themselves for the first time, and is now considering, either they got out of university and they maybe want to, start a business, or they want to get out of, let's call it the rat race, and out of, the corporate world and want to start a business. What's some of the advice that you could give to, the brand new entrepreneur?
Okay. So a lesson that I learned the hard way is, even though you like a name, you cannot always go by that name.
Yeah.
So I've got a thing for acronyms, like my Instagram is Timaries, Fatima Daries, and I had a business called Accessories, and now I'm Exotic Leather Accessories. And I was very young when I started Accessories, and I didn't know that you need to register your business. And then years later, when somebody told me, you don't have a registered business, and I went to go and register with SIPSI, there were 50 companies with that name in different spelling. And I couldn't use that name, and I'd been trading with that name at markets and events, and all my branding and my logos and my marketing material had that name already, and I had to change it. Because legally I wasn't allowed to use that name. And that meant that my followers and my customers had to be informed, and that's very difficult if you've been in business for a long time.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Fatima, so you've spoken on a few things, but how do you as an individual, how do you balance your HR consulting work with growing your business and supporting the Women in Business Network? Quite a balancing act.
That's like a very hard question. I should have asked you to send it to me in advance. Especially, okay, so I'm going to talk threefold. It's very hard when you're permanently employed and you have a side hustle.
Correct.
And I have great admiration for moms with kids. I don't have children, alhamdulillah, so it's easier for me, and I have a very supportive husband. But it's very hard. You got work, you got your business, you got home responsibilities. There's the laundry, there's the cooking, there's the food, what's for supper, what's for breakfast, all of those things. And you have to make time for everything. So eventually I got to the point of, besides just notes, I had scheduled resting time in my day and prioritizing just a power nap, because you go to bed at 2 a.m. maybe and you get up at 5 or Fajr and don't go to bed after Fajr. So it's hard. And that's also one of the things that we're trying to address in our network, just how to balance all of these responsibilities, inshallah.
Inshallah. No, that's brilliant. Brilliant.
Just so coming back to the entrepreneurship piece,
Yes,
because
okay.
I know with you being in HR, you've obviously seen quite a bit. There's a lot of drama that happens in HR, and I'm sure that that's also kind of spurred you on to want to do your own thing and help people. Right?
Yes.
So you mentioned SIPSI and getting that business registered, and how important that was, and that example that you use is so powerful, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there trading right now using business names, for example, and building a brand, and that may not know this. So this could really change so many people's businesses and their lives in many senses. What other opportunities do you think are out there specifically for women in South Africa? And I know that the Women in Business Network doesn't only focus on dealing with Muslim women. It's women from all backgrounds, all religions. So what other benefits would there be for women who want to, be part of your network and want to learn more from what you guys do?
Okay, so because Alhamdulillah I have exposure to human resources, I was able to structure a plan for us for next year, inshallah. And I'm going to start with the basics, like how to register the business. So it will be in a workshop format with the 10 modules for the year, inshallah, from tax, marketing, social media, work-life balance, and HR module, inshallah. So there's that package of workshops, and then we're going to try and have an event, like a networking event every month that will tie into the workshop topic. And I'm also sort of trying to incorporate human resources practices that you would experience in a corporate environment into that, because a lot of the ladies have not been exposed to that. And example one thing we're going to try and incorporate into the next network is, like, I don't know if you know what the elevator pitch is. Like, you meet somebody for 30 minutes. 60 seconds in the elevator, go, tell me your business. And that is something that our ladies maybe never been exposed to, you know? So we're going to try and teach them that. And then, just tell me your question again, Martha. So entrepreneurial things they'll learn from.
So really it's about, understanding how women can benefit from, networking with you and your colleagues.
So an exercise that I actually did today as I was preparing my communications to potential sponsors is I sat with the attendee list from our last event. There were in excess of 40 women from different industries, different businesses, different parts of Cape Town, different cultures and backgrounds. And I went onto the Instagram pages and I got a total following of 96,000 followers just for those 40 ladies. Wow. And that's besides the people who we wrote to help us market, influencers and people who helped us share the event. So if somebody, I was telling my husband, if somebody is clever and they have the vision to think that today 40 women, if they come there and they share their business, if they sponsor something, sponsor a spot price, in a year's time, how won't that business, those 40 women's business would have grown in 5 years' time, and their reach would be so much larger than almost 100,000. And if you have the understanding of how marketing works and how marketing has changed in today's life, then that's the place you need to be, you know?
100%, yeah. Fatima, we touched on some of the challenges for women in business. Yes. What are some of the success stories from the Women in Business Network?
So I'll talk about some of the attendees from last week. A lady shared that she was a nurse working for this organization who do, let's say, vitamin B shots. And the business, the owners were leaving the country or something, and they were going to sell the business. And she sat and she thought, I'm doing so well. What am I going to do? Where am I going to find another job? And she just got this idea to get the funding and buy the business. And now she's a celebrity nurse. So that's the one thing. And like, you get the opportunity to learn so many beautiful stories, like this occupational therapist who works with Baitul Aman, or people who work with orphanages and underprivileged children, and how they incorporate that into their personal life. Like one of our speakers last week was a lady in the fashion industry, and she has a school of fashion, and she offers anybody who's interested in learning about fashion a free hour. You know, you don't get that. And the amazing thing about our community and the women in our environment, alhamdulillah, especially in Cape Town, is how much we're willing to do for each other and for the greater good. You know, I heard this term, I think last year, and it's just stuck with me. A woman's responsibility is to fix someone else's crown, not to laugh or gossip or look how they dress askew. You're supposed to help them, you know, and that's how we as a society do better, if we do better for each other.
Now that's fantastic. That's so well put, and again, so powerful. And I had no idea. I mean, 96,000 people. That's a lot.
Yes.
And from a marketing perspective, I'm sure that anybody would be interested in wanting to join an event with that type of exposure. So, I mean, if you look at 100,000 people and you're saying it can be way more than that for 40 businesses, that's quite fantastic, Fatima. Also, you know, in terms of the entrepreneurship now, you mentioned funding. So, you know, as MuslimFin, we tend to focus on, Islamic finance and, Islamic lending, banking, investments. From a funding perspective, have you found that there's been some challenges in trying to raise funds for businesses? What type of challenges do you come up?
It's very hard, if you're a traditional Muslim woman and you grew up in an environment where we used to being subdued and accepting no for an answer. That's one thing I learned the hard way. Don't accept no. Go to another bank, go to another institution, find a different way of selling your product. And in our community, in our culture, traditionally women are so used to just accepting no. They don't know they can ask. They don't know they have the right to ask for help. They don't know where to go. They don't know if this guy who's offering to help her fill in an application for funding and he wants 20% is actually allowed to take that 20%, and then he maybe takes 50%. She doesn't know that there's actually something she can do about it. So the biggest challenge is access to information and knowledge. And so the pros and cons. And alhamdulillah, there are so many good people out there at the same time, so many organizations that are willing to help. CISA, the CETAs, which have changed name, the banks, people who do pro bono work, all the law firms, all the financial firms. Like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention names, but example, most of the insurers, like if there's a female insurance product, those insurers do, short-term insurers, they do have like a corporate social responsibility where they try and uplift entrepreneurs. I know Nedbank has this WIMX where you can apply to go on an accelerator program, Makers Landing as an accelerator program. It's just that you must take the time, research, and invest that time, because it's a lot of time to research or try and find people, if you don't attend networks, who do this. And I mean, the internet is quite large, and if you have a cell phone and you have data, it's easy. Also, one thing I didn't know, that most of the libraries offer free internet. So a woman today cannot just make up excuses if she wants to go somewhere and she doesn't have access to resources, because even the internet is free these days in South Africa.
Amazing. Siraj?
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask was, is there anything with regards to government funding and how accessible is that, especially to new entrepreneurs and startups as well?
At this stage, I've got a little bit of limited knowledge about that, but I can share something that I recently came across, if you don't mind. I just need to look it up quickly to give you the proper information. And I hope he's going to give me kudos for this. Alderman Voss, I think a few weeks ago, shared the startuptribe.org pages in Cape Town. And it's almost like a training program, an online training program where anybody can go, and it's a number of modules. I can share a link with you guys, and then you can share it with your readers. It's a number of modules that you can go through and enroll for, like a 14-day startup challenge, understanding the entrepreneurial life cycle, finding clients and growing your business, how to start a farming business. Really lots of nice short courses that's on this website, or I'm not sure what it's called, but there's a link I'll share with you.
100%.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then Fatima, if anyone wanted to get a hold of you, are there any events that are coming up where other women can join? How do they go about doing that, and what do they need to look out for?
Awesome. So, alhamdulillah, our first event went very well, and that sort of bolstered us into doing this every month. Our next event is on the 8th of November at Bookup Delhi. Tickets go live on Friday. In order to save on admin fees and credit card fees, the tickets are being sold on my website, Exotic Leather Accessories. We are still in the process of sourcing some sponsors so that we can bring the ticket price lower, inshallah. But at this stage, it's just over 300 Rand. And if you are open to it, I'd like to offer a set of 2 tickets to the first lady to message the Ella phone number. It's a WhatsApp number, and all you can do is, you saw the podcast, the number is 072 71 373 54. 072 71 373 54.
And there you have it, guys. If you message Fatima on this WhatsApp number, you could win a free ticket to the next event at the Book Up Delhi, which is Friday, and that date is?
The 8th of November, inshallah.
The 8th of November. Fatima, I'm very thankful and very grateful for you being here. Shukran for taking the time to come out and see us and speak with our audience, and also for all the information that you shared. I'm sure we are going to have tons of questions for you and lots of people that are going to be reaching out to you, and we wish you all of the success and all of the best, and continue to keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Thank you very
Right?
much.
Yeah, no, alhamdulillah, it was a very good discussion. Appreciate.
Thank you very much for having me and the time that you've allocated to us.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.